Welcome back to another magical R. Steven video. I'm your host Steven with at least 3 Pokemon cards, and today we pose the question, would you be the jerk if you were wrongfully gifted thousands of dollars in merchandise, and after finding out you refused to give it back? We'll figure out who's the jerk on that, but first, am I the jerk, wife upset I cannot keep toddler from her? Some context here, wife is a full-time student, I work full-time, we have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. My wife's upset with me as I cannot keep our toddler from her while she's studying upstairs in our room. I work 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., I pick up the children from daycare and school, and most nights handle all the routine, including bedtime, while my wife studies. The issue is that our 2-year-old will scream for mommy. She's creative enough to ask to use the upstairs potty or get a toy from her room. Once she's upstairs, she screams and bangs on mom's door until I peel her away. We live in Canada, so taking them outside for hours as a distraction is not currently a viable option. The contention comes from the fact that my wife could study at her mom's house 5 minutes down the road, or remain on campus and study there, but she chooses to always study at home. I'm stressed with the fact that my toddler will constantly scream for my wife when she knows she's home, but when my wife isn't home, she understands that and is much less fussy. Am I the jerk for telling my wife she needs to study away from the house when she's inaccessible? I need perspective, please. Edit, I do have baby gates installed in all junctions of the house. The only toilet in our house is upstairs beside the bedroom, and the 2-year-old is in the process of potty training. Our house also has paper-thin walls to the point where you could hear a mouse fart upstairs if you're downstairs. The sound of an office chair on the floor while my wife shifts her position can alert the 2-year-old to her presence. My wife does the morning routine with the children, feeds them, does the older child's lunch, gets them dropped off at school and daycare. I'm on pickup, evening and night routine. We split nighttime wake up, so that's all fair and dandy. My wife also spends the time she can with them, but her program requires extensive study. What I'm trying to convey is that the demeanor of our 2-year-old is miserable when she knows mom is home and can't access her. For the most part, I do successfully keep her away from mom, but I also need to be able to access my upstairs, as does my 8-year-old. The times my 2-year-old does get through and bangs on the door or screams, my wife gets very upset and comments it's a parenting skill issue. I would love to be able and take the kids out for the entire evening, but I'm doing the cooking, the cleaning, and other associated house tasks for the most part, as my partner's program is extremely demanding. This isn't a complaint about the division of labor, she needs the time to study. However, I cannot be out and about for the entire evening as the household needs maintenance. So in review, I'll admit I'm not a parent, I don't have very much parenting expertise. I have heard though that a 2-year-old toddler is just about the most handful of a time you could have. Honestly, I don't know if I myself know an elegant solution to the problem here. In fact, there's actually quite a few people in the comments on this post saying that OP is the jerk for weaponizing incompetence, saying things like OP is the jerk because they're being outsmarted by a 2-year-old and stuff like that. And then somehow I stumbled into a nanny break room subreddit where they were talking about the story and they were saying, wow, all the commenters seem like they're at least 25 or younger and have no children. I honestly don't even know which side of OP is the jerk, isn't the jerk, is everybody jerks here, does nobody suck here? But one surefire way to not be the jerk here would be to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below if you like crazy Am I the Jerk stories. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not telling my family that I joined the military? Growing up, I, 18-year-old female, had to do everything with my twin sister Sophie. Well, mostly do everything Sophie wanted. If things didn't go her way, she would throw a huge fit until she got her way. Our whole lives, we had to share a brightly colored bedroom. Once, in 4th grade, I got in trouble because I put a picture of a poorly drawn dragon on the wall because it was too dark for Sophie, which I thought was ridiculous. Throughout elementary and middle school, our mom dressed us up in the exact same or nearly identical clothes because she thought it was cute. In 5th grade, our mom had us join ballet because it was something Sophie always wanted to do. When I would ask to join boxing, my dad would yell at me for only thinking of myself. My mom would always say that boxing was too rough for Sophie. It got worse in high school. Whenever I wanted to hang out with my own friends, Sophie just had to come along or she'll say I'm purposely excluding her. When I would have a crush on someone, the next day, Sophie would be dating him. In senior year, Sophie already made up her mind that me and her are going to college for cosmetology. To sum it all up, I couldn't do anything or do anything with my own life because it had to be what Sophie wanted or I would get in trouble. As soon as I turned 18, I decided to join the Navy. Last night, I sat my parents and Sophie down at the table and explained that I wasn't going to college for cosmetology with Sophie, but I'm leaving for the Navy. They all started to scream at me that this was selfish and I'm betraying my family. Am I the jerk? So, in my opinion, I wish it didn't have to come to such a drastic decision, but I don't fault OP for taking whatever lifeline they could to get away from a family that they felt more or less they had to escape. There's certainly much less healthy things OP could have turned to. OK History left a comment on the post saying, "Imagine having to join the military to finally have some personal peace. Not the jerk." Our next story is, am I the jerk for undermining my stepmom and getting my stepsister soup? Last weekend on Friday, my 19-year-old male stepsister, 17, texts our family group chat. With me, my dad, 52, my stepmom, 47, and my other stepsister, 19-year-old female. For further context, our parents got married 1 year ago, so I never really got to know either of them too well, and we all generally mind our own business. She asked if someone could please grab her soup from a deli place like 2 miles down the street from our house on their way home because she wasn't feeling well. My dad and stepsister both said that they would be home later, and my stepmom said that since she had a license now, she could go herself. She said she was feeling really bad and didn't think she could. I was driving and stopped at a gas station, and when I checked my phone while there, I saw the messages and said that I could grab her some since I'd just gotten off work. She said thank you, and my stepmom immediately responded and asked if I was sure since she was almost an adult who could get it herself. I said it was no big deal and that it was on the way home. We get takeout from this place for dinner sometimes, and I remembered she likes their cookies, so I grabbed one for her too. When I get home, my stepsister was on the couch and my stepmom was on the kitchen island, but they're kind of in the same room. So when I gave her the soup and the cookie, my stepmom noticed. Later on, my dad tells me that apparently my stepmom didn't like that I went and got her the soup after she said she could grab it herself because I was undermining her. And apparently she also didn't like that I bought her a cookie too because apparently it was rewarding laziness. I said she was being ridiculous because it was literally soup, and my dad told me that it didn't matter and that if she didn't like it, I was in the wrong because I crossed the line by doing something she didn't want me to do. I thought she was overreacting at first, but it seems like she's still upset about it, and the more I think about it, I feel as if I may have went against what she wants, which is semi-rude. Please don't tell me that OP is actually going to be gaslit by this person. Okay, to be fair, I don't know if I'm using that term correctly here, but manipulated for sure. You went against your stepmom's wishes and bought soup for your ill family relative. How freaking dare you, OP? OP is not the jerk, and I hope that the comments on this Reddit post get through to OP that they need to stand their ground, that getting soup for somebody who says they're not feeling well is not crossing any line. Filmyak left a comment saying, "What does being an adult have to do with it? I'm an adult with kids, one in college, and if I'm feeling sick, my wife will get soup for me, not make me get it myself, and I do the same for her. That's an absurd thing to have a problem with, unless your stepsister does this habitually because she's lazy, but you didn't mention anything about that in your post." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not using gift cards on the person who gifted them? My mother-in-law gave us and our kids gift cards for the December holidays, mainly restaurants for smaller dollar amounts between $25 and $50. The other day, she texted my husband and I saying, "Shall we go out today and use one of the gift cards?" Confused, I said, "What gift cards do you have?" She replied, "The ones that she gave us," and she didn't have them with her since I took them all with me. I replied that I didn't know I wasn't supposed to take them with me, as they're a gift. She still insists that whenever we use them, we take her with us. I think it's ridiculous, and my husband has stayed quiet. I've been in little contact with her for about a year, so with the amounts barely covering one person if we went out, it's likely a way to force her way into still seeing us. Am I the jerk for wanting to use the gift cards and not have stipulations tied to them? I mean, if I gifted somebody a gift card and they said, "Hey, we'll take you along every single time," or, "Yeah, I'll let you have half of what you gave me," I certainly wouldn't mind, but no, OP's not crazy or the jerk. If you give a gift card to a restaurant to somebody, who puts the expectation that you have to invite the gifter out? And like OP pointed out, a lot of times those gift cards, they often aren't going to even cover one person. Correct Cat left a comment saying, "I would say, I'm sorry, I thought they were a gift. I didn't realize I was holding on to them for you as a favor to you." I would then promptly return them to her and resume minimal contact. Our next story is, am I the jerk for sleeping through most of a long luxury bus ride while my girlfriend was upset? I've been traveling in Chile and had been sick for a couple of days before this, vomiting, GI issues, and generally feeling awful. Because of that, I barely slept for 2 nights beforehand. I kept waking up in our hotel bed to run to the bathroom, and my girlfriend knew this since she saw it happen. We had a long travel day planned and ended up taking a 20-hour overnight bus instead of flying. The flights available were expensive, poorly timed, and uncomfortable. Many would have had us arriving around 2:30 a.m., and being stuck upright in a plane seat while sick sounded miserable compared to being able to lie flat and shift positions on a bus. I paid extra for a luxury overnight bus with fully reclining lay-down seats, blankets, and pillows so we could rest. On the day of the travel, I was still feeling rough but slightly improved. We spent time going to multiple pharmacies for medication. She wasn't feeling great either, but her symptoms were much milder than mine. Once on the bus, I decided the best way for me to recover was to sleep. I took sleeping pills so I could rest and feel functional the next day. I offered her the same pills, knowing they would likely help, but she refused. I then slept for roughly 16 hours. I did not know she was upset during this time. She never woke me up, and I wasn't aware there was an issue until I woke up in the early afternoon near the end of the ride when she was sleeping. When she later woke up, I tried to hold her hand, but she was clearly upset. When I asked what was wrong, she said I had abandoned her by going to sleep and that she had been alone for the entire bus ride. From my perspective, I was sick, severely sleep deprived, and trying to recover. I didn't ignore her intentionally, refuse to help, or know she was upset at the time. So, am I the jerk for sleeping through most of the bus ride instead of staying awake with her? I'm gonna say OP's not the jerk here because it seems like it was a planned thing for the most part. I would have liked if there had been some kind of contingency planned where she could have been a little bit more occupied for those hours so they didn't feel so abandoned or alone. I'll admit though, if I were in her shoes, I'd probably be feeling a little morose myself. I mean, if you don't have anything to really kind of occupy your mind or entertain you, it could feel pretty lonely sitting there for 20 or 16 hours by yourself. Imagination Top left a comment saying, "Not the jerk, is your girlfriend an immature 12-year-old? Sorry, you should have chosen better." Johnny Poppyseed replied saying, "Honestly, after a 20-hour bus ride from heck, getting emotional and immature can easily happen to even the best of us. I'd give her a pass personally, as long as things are chill after getting some normal sleep in a hotel and some food." Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to be godmother to my best friend's child? My best friend of 11 years is pregnant. She recently told me she would like me to be her baby's godmother. I don't have children myself, and I've never been interested. She does know this. I am very flattered that she asked me, but I ended up telling her that I'm probably not the right person to ask, as I'm not too keen on children. I do have a nephew who is 4 that I absolutely adore, but I never want to be responsible for a child. I feel like I can barely look after myself sometimes. She became very upset and told me that she wanted me to be a godmother as she would like to be able to have a life when the baby is born, and she thought that I would be up for babysitting, etc. I told her absolutely not, and I would never agree to something like that. I live about 4 hours away from her as well. She then tried to guilt me and say that if something happened to her, the baby would have nowhere to go as she doesn't have family that she would trust with her baby. I told her I'm really sorry and that I could help her out occasionally, but I don't feel comfortable being her baby's godmother. Am I the jerk? In my opinion, OP doesn't want to be a parent. OP doesn't want to be a godmother. You can't force somebody to. Just like you can't force somebody to be babysitter option number 1 that doesn't want to be a babysitter. If OP had like that level of close friendship with this person, it would be nice if OP wants to be a part of that it takes a village mentality, but OP doesn't, and it's at least consistent to who they've been as a person. Governor Bruce left a comment saying, "A god person is not a person that you can guilt into babysitting because they are the godparent. Usually, it's related to acting as a mentor and giving guidance and being a role model. This is usually related to faith as well." It really sounds like she just wanted to use it as a way to manipulate you into babysitting. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my kid that she's being self-centered or cruel because her mom won't be able to make it to her wedding? My daughter's 28, wedding is tomorrow. The problem is that my wife's dad is in the hospital. He has always been frail since he was moved into a home, and it's took a turn for the worse, and now he's in the hospital. They don't think he'll make it. My wife's sister says it looks bad, and she also isn't coming up for the wedding anymore. The original plan was for him to fly up for the wedding today, with the help of my wife's sister, but he was hospitalized yesterday, and he's just getting worse. My wife has been distraught, and she made the decision to go fly down. She's leaving tonight. It was a tough decision because she'll miss the wedding. I told her that I'll FaceTime her in for the ceremony and anything else, but to go be with her dad before he passes. I also know that she would be miserable if she was at the wedding to begin with. I doubt she would be able to put on a happy face and pretend everything was okay. We called our daughter to explain, and she did not take it well. She called her mom a lot of names. My wife has been crying since. She started to spam both of our phones. I got into another argument with her, and I told her she's being self-centered and cruel about mom not being able to make it, that her father is dying, and all you care about is your big day. I didn't raise her to not have any empathy. She told me that it wasn't fair, and I told her it was. I told her to apologize to her mother. She told me I shouldn't come to the wedding if mom isn't there. My wife is very distraught, and I'm supposed to drive her to the airport in a few hours. Are we in the wrong? My daughter 100% thinks we're in the wrong. My wife is distraught. Edit, I don't see why some of you are acting like she's flying out to get lunch. He is dying. She wants to see him one last time before he's gone. Multiple asked, we have 4 kids in total. Yes, she is her grandfather on my wife's side. My wife's mom already passed 7 years ago. I'm gonna be honest, this one feels like almost inappropriate for me to really want to dive too deep into. I think the timing obviously is incredibly unfortunate, but sometimes that's how it works, and it's their father. I think whether the daughter likes it or not, that takes more precedent than a wedding does. Terrasage left a comment saying, not the jerk. This is a difficult situation all around. I recommend OP go to the daughter's wedding. Your wife has her sister to comfort her if their dad passes during the wedding day. You can join your wife after the wedding. If your daughter turns you away from her wedding or chooses to not have you give her away, that's her choice. But as a parent, it's important that you show up. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my boyfriend I'll only sleep with him if he shaves his entire body once a week? For context, we're both 22 and have been together for 6 months. He's my first relationship. I am not his. 2 days ago, I went through my usual everything shower routine. It's tiresome, but I love feeling squeaky clean afterwards. Going through the motions feels like the before and after of a house renovation video. I'm usually too busy or tired to do the full commitment, but I'll have the effort every week or every other week. This is boring, but so you can get the idea, I'll pluck my eyebrows, dermablade face, pore and face mask, piercing removal and cleaning, teeth whitening, trim and deep condition hair, shave everything, wash, scrub, exfoliate body, wash and rinse hair, and then put in leave-in conditioner and braid, and finally moisturize my body and finish skincare routine. Blah, like I said, I love the feeling, but I don't always do it all at once, just when I need to. I hop in bed after. If you know, you know. The feeling of freshly shaved legs in the sheets? Oh yeah. Soon, my boy joins me and says how smooth and pretty I am. Oh boy, thank you. But then he just says, I don't understand why you can't do this all the time. I tell him it's a lot of effort and products, and he goes on to say that I would be so much more attractive if I actually took care of myself like this every day. I just kind of look at him and ask, "You don't think I'm attractive?" And he says, "Well, I know you have the potential to be, but it's your job to put in effort. It's a respect thing." Right, I pretty much say. That's hurtful. I know I don't dress up or wear makeup every day, but I still take care of myself. Do you think I'm gross? He says, "Of course not, but I'd probably enjoy it more if you stayed shaved and smooth." This was a new conversation for us. Not gonna lie, it took me a few dates to be intimate with him. When we were, I told him I wasn't shaved, but he said he had no problem. I mean, neither was he. I haven't brought it up since because I just assumed his opinion stayed the same. Obviously, sometimes I'll reset and shave everything, but he's never made any odd comment before this. So I'm taken aback. He's saying this with a smile on his face, but when I say, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do that," he squints his eyes at me and is like, "Really? I would just feel more appreciated if you'd regularly put in this effort." My mind was racing at this point. I was really just hurt and embarrassed. It's my fault he apparently hasn't been enjoying himself. I end up saying that I'll do this routine every day if he does it with me. Shave his whole body, skincare, hair, the works. He looked at me like I was stupid and said that's not his job, saying "This is a girl thing. It's the bare minimum." It escalated from there. I told him, "That's unfair. If you want this standard from me, why can't I get the same back?" I know it's an unfair argument. I should have just said it's an unobtainable standard for anyone, but alas. We go back and forth until I give the ultimatum that I'll only hook up with him if he actually takes care of himself for once. I know it came out harshly. It's not like he doesn't take care of himself. I was just trying to hurt him like he hurt me, I guess. If he can't do it once a week, why should I? He said stuff like, "That's freaking stupid, you're being difficult, and you need to live in reality." He walked out after that. We haven't texted since. I talked to my best friend about this and she agrees that he's out of line. TY Queen. But my mom says I'm blowing things out of proportion and I should listen to his qualms about our relationship. So I'm here because I feel like I've lost my mind. I'm just tired of taking the high road and I'm too petty to text him first. I feel like a bum. Looking back, I'm worried that I was being stupid and he's really not asking much of me. It's just laziness if I can't add a couple more steps every day. I don't know. I want him to take me as I am, but I don't want him to break up with me if I can do better in our relationship. I don't know where to go from here. Did I do the wrong thing? What do I do to fix this? So all I can say in regards to this story is I hope that boyfriend in every other facet is like the ultimate boyfriend, provider, entertaining, puts a smile on OP's face every single day in every other way, because I feel like that's maybe the only way that they could get away with saying what they did. If they were star-stunning and perfect in every other way, maybe. And that's still just a maybe. Could we all probably put more effort in? Sure, but being in a relationship, I think, is being able to accept somebody as they are. Why should OP continue to fight for a guy like that? Chili Enema Detox left a comment saying, "Not the jerk. All that upkeep is more than the bare minimum, and he really needs to grow the freak up." OP replied saying, "I looked up how often do people everything shower, and the common theme was at least once a week. So yeah, while I can't trim my hair every day because it doesn't grow that fast, maybe I'm truly oblivious to the bare minimum." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not giving my vacation day to a coworker getting married? My job does vacation days by seniority, and we submit the bulk of our vacation requests at the same time every year. So you kind of need to plan ahead if you have big plans, or you need to work around days that are still available after we submit all of our leave requests. When we did this process in March of 2025, I submitted a request for the day after MLK Day in January 2026. The day after a holiday is brutal at my job. There's a lot more work to do, and you're often stuck there late. I have frequently tried to get the day after a federal holiday off. Luckily for me, there was one slot available and I was the only person to request it, so I got it. Fast forward to December of 2025, and a coworker approaches me and tells me she's getting married. This is top secret info, and she's only telling a few people, but she would really like me to let her know if I cancel my vacation day so she can put in for it. She was able to get 6 days off for this secret wedding, but she really wanted my day off also. Okay, that's fine. I'll let you know. I could tell she was expecting me to immediately agree because she seemed kind of dejected. A day or two later, she tells me she doesn't want it anymore. I said, okay, probably wasn't going to cancel it anyway. She said she thinks I would have because it's a big deal. After this, our relationship at work was about the same still, which is to say, I hardly know this woman, and we're not friends or anything, just cordial coworkers. Not long after the vacation day request, there was a point where we were being forced to work overtime based on our seniority level. She was first in line, and I was second. She asked me if I would trade spots with her because she had something going on after work, and I said I didn't want to do that. After that point, she has stopped talking to me entirely. A couple of my other coworkers seem a little standoffish towards me now also. I can only speculate that that's because of something she said, but I don't know for sure. Look, I'm not doing anything on my vacation day. I just don't want to work that day. I put in for that day off almost a year ago, and I didn't want to work overtime that other day either, but I don't have a ton going on. I just flat out didn't want to. Maybe I should have tried to help my coworker out more? Am I the jerk for not canceling my vacation day and not working the overtime for my about-to-be newlywed coworker? So, in my opinion, I do think OP is not the jerk. I mean, the bottom line is, no is a complete sentence. If OP doesn't want to do it, they're not obligated to do it. Thing is, I feel like this might actually be angling a little bit more towards not necessarily whether OP is the jerk, but kind of more whether the other people are justified in not liking OP or having an opinion about OP, which I think is a completely different thing entirely. OPs are not the jerk, but it doesn't mean that OP should expect everybody else in the workplace to love them. Unable Pumpkin 987 commented, "People are being standoffish because they don't particularly like you. You are perfectly within your rights to be unwilling to change your non-specific plans to do nothing to help out someone who has plans to do something specific at a particular time. You are allowed to do that. Other people are within their rights to see you do that and think that you're not a person they like very much or want to interact with when they aren't obligated to. They're allowed to do that too. You don't owe anyone consideration. They don't owe you cordiality." Our next story is, am I the jerk for keeping a collection of Magic the Gathering cards that were wrongly gifted to me? Early December, a coworker asked me if I wanted Magic the Gathering cards her husband wanted to get rid of. I accepted, and I ended up with 5 briefcases full of cards. Going through the cards, I found that they were a lot, and I mean a lot of cards, ranging from anywhere between $15 and $80. I thought it was a little weird that her husband would just gift away that many expensive cards, so I texted my coworker to ask if she was sure that her husband was giving everything to me. Her response was, "Yes, he is sure. He doesn't play with them anymore. Enjoy." So I kept the cards to build a deck, traded some, and sold a bunch of them at my local card shop for a couple $100. Fast forward to yesterday, coworker came to me during lunch to ask if I can give her back all the cards. Turns out that she didn't ask her husband at all before giving everything to me, and he's extremely ticked about it. I told her that I could give back the cards I still own, but I've traded and sold a lot of them and didn't have them anymore. She got pretty desperate when I told her that, and then asked if I could also give her, in addition to the collection I still own, the money I made so her husband can buy the cards I trade and sold again. I told her that I thought I was already pretty nice to give back some of her husband's collection, but it's too late for the cards I've traded or sold, and I'm keeping the money. So it's either that, or I'm keeping everything. She got very mad, and when she started yelling at me to give everything, money included, back to fix this, I told her that was her problem, and she stormed off. She didn't talk to me since, and I still have the cards. Am I the jerk? Edit, just to clarify some things, I did tell my coworker that they were valuable cards in her husband's collection when I texted her to reconfirm. The collection I was gifted wasn't just valuable cards, the majority of the cards were pretty cheap, like under $1. It's just that with the amount of cards given, the number of valuable cards grow pretty quickly. Also, I've read a lot of comments about keeping stolen goods for myself. I'm willing to give back the rest of the cards I have to her husband, but my coworker is the only way I have to give it back to him. Edit 2. This blew up way more than I thought, so here's a quick late night update. I've managed to speak to my coworker's husband via Messenger and showed him the screenshot of my discussion I had with her, telling her about the value of some cards and if she was sure he was okay with giving me everything. As a lot of comments recommended me to do so, we're gonna meet tomorrow so I can give him back what I have left of his collection. About the cards I've sold or traded, he told me not to worry about it and keep everything because what's done is done. He did ask though how much money I made by selling some of his cards because he fully intends to make my coworker pay him back the same amount of money I made, which is about $500. Overall, the dude was pretty chill with me and very thankful to get most of his collection back. Side note, I wouldn't be surprised if my coworker announced next week that her husband is filed for divorce because he made it very clear during our conversation that he was completely done with her. So, would it be wrong of me if I said there's some small nugget here that says OP is the jerk? I'll be honest, if I was in OP's shoes, I would be pretty darn tempted to take the cards anyways, but you have to know, there's something that's not right here. 5 briefcases full, that probably is at least $1,000 if not more worth of cards. You don't just give away $1,000, 5 briefcases full of cards because he doesn't play with them anymore. If there was ever a situation where it was almost guaranteed to come back at one point or another, it would have been that one. It worked out for OP in the end. At least OP didn't get caught in the crossfire of some legal blow up over it. Peach Tea Honey left a comment saying, "You're not the jerk? But dang, I feel for the husband here. Just try to imagine yourself in his place. Someone close to you gave away your belongings and can't get them back. You're under no obligation to return the cards or money, but it really sucks for him, so keep that in mind." Hin Inc. left a comment on the other hand saying, "Everybody sucks here. Anybody who plays any card games knows 5 briefcases worth and giving away means the wife hates his hobby and is sneaking to get rid of it. Any normal person would be selling the collection as that's a good $150,000 plus value if not way more. OP simply playing dumb regarding the gift, knew and sold and traded it anyway. Any reasonable person would have held on to everything, knowing that this would go to court eventually with stolen property. This is the equivalent of being given a boat full of cars by someone. You know it's stolen goods, but you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, so you start selling the cars, only for the owner to demand it back. No one is sane enough to gift that much money to a random coworker. On the other hand, a very sane gift would be checking out the other Am I the Jerk Here story videos I've posted on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, you can check out that video on the right that's surely a good $150,000 plus value if not way more. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.